Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. It's Michael Menino, and welcome to Driven Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, on how they got to where they're at today. And zooming from the beautiful island of Cape Coral is Jay Johnson. How you doing, young man?
Doing well, Michael. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the show and taking time out to share your experiences.
My pleasure.
Could you do me a favor and tell everybody about yourself, how you got to where you're at today, and what you're doing?
Sure. So I'm a restaurateur. I own the restaurant behind us called Bubba's Roadhouse in Cape Coral. We've been around for 31 years. This is our second location behind us. It's been open now 26 years. We've since closed the first one. In addition to the restaurant, we also do catering and large-scale catering events. I like to think of myself more as someone that puts together the events, that can make it work, and we can handle any size. We do 1,900 at some Christmas parties. We've done some 2,500 people events. So we like big events. We like challenges. Anything that's fun and exciting to me, I would like to do.
What would be fun and exciting? What's your funnest and excitingest one?
There's a few. I think if you're familiar with Southwest Florida, which is where we're located, there's a state park out here called Cape Coral that's only accessible via boat. And we've done a couple events out there where we have to actually rent the boat. We have to take all the equipment to the island. And once we get to the island, you got to trek the stuff to the location, usually by a golf cart. And we're able to do some events that a lot of caterers won't touch and make some memories for a lot of people that come down to visit our area. So it's always fun to be able to do something that no one else has done or won't do. I like to think we're in the logistics business, figuring out how to make something work.
I know exactly what you're talking about. We had I lived in Port Richey, and we had Anclote Island, and there's nothing on the island. It's just an island. And that would have been a great idea to have parties out there. That would be super fun and cool for you too. You're out there in the sun. You got to rent tents or something to house in the sun, because the sun in Florida is kind of tough.
It's a little warm.
It's a little warm, but being out all day working the people out there in bathing suits, when you're out there with a shirt and maybe even a tie, that's got to be a little bit tougher.
Usually I'm in a chef coat, so it breathes a little bit.
Good. Awesome.
So that works. But it's great to be in those great locations. How can you complain? You're outside on the beach looking at the Gulf of America and enjoying the day that Florida brings. Yeah,
I would agree wholeheartedly. Is it tough to plan a day and then, the weather's not committing to it? I'm sure it's great when the weather's great, but Florida weather is bipolar, like some women I dated back in the day.
100%. But as I always tell our customers, that's one of the questions we get a lot. What happens if it rains? And, it's a real simple answer. We get wet. And that's the way it works. We go rain or shine. We don't cancel. If the customer cancels or the client chooses to cancel, that's on them. But we're always prepared and ready to go.
We get wet. I love that answer. There's a lot of competition in what you do. I like the sidebar. I like doing the off-put areas and off-put venues. What sets you apart other than that? What comes easy to you that doesn't come to other people?
Well, I think one of the things that made us successful is that we know how to network and work within our community. And okay. I think it's important to know that while you think of a restaurant and it's four walls, within those four walls, you really got to go outside to become part of the community. We've been down here in Southwest Florida through Hurricane Charlie, Hurricane Wilma, Irma, Ian. I can't even name all the hurricanes that we've been part of. And what we tend to do, as soon as we get the ability to do it, we reopen, because I'm of the belief that the private sector has just an important role in recovery as the public sector. And it's our job to reopen the restaurant to be able to feed people so we can take them off the rolls of those that are going for free meals and let people get those meals that need it. And people that have the means and availability to pay to eat, we're there for them. Now, before we open, after a storm, after Charlie, after Ian, I can't even remember the last couple. But we work with different companies. We've worked with World Central Kitchen and opened up outside the restaurant and fed people for free that needed that first,
that's really
that second day after an event like that.
I got a meal like that one time, and thank you, because my house was flooded, and it wasn't even you get so focused in repairing or fixing or getting your house back up that I wasn't even thinking about eating. And this truck came by with, I think it was sandwiches, and it was just a godsend. Thank you for doing that kind of stuff. That's awesome that you do that.
Well, that's one of the things I think people remember. We do it because we're part of the community, but it also is part of the marketing scheme that we're there for our community. We had an area, my years are off, everything blends. Let's say eight years ago, they got hit by tornadoes. So we took our portable grill, we went out and we set up in the neighborhood and just cooked for people. It was 4 or 5 miles from our restaurant, so it was our neighborhood, it's our people, and we got to take care of them. And so we're there, want to be there for them when they need us, and then they're there for us when we need them.
Awesome. I agree wholeheartedly. That's being intertwined into the community is paramount. If someone listening wants to get better at what you do, what advice would you give? What tips would you mention to them?
Well, I think what you have to do is become part of that community, become involved in things that are important to the community. For years I've served on the board of our local Chamber of Commerce.
There you go.
I'm just coming off a 2-year stint as chair of the Greater Fort Myers Chamber of Commerce. And you really become involved in the community, and a chamber is one of those things that you get out of it what you put in. If you write a check and then never go to any events, and I think that's with any group, you're not going to get anything back. But if you're out there front and center, people know you. I think the best testament I have to that is right next to us, we have a big German America Club, one of the largest in Southwest Florida, and they do a huge Oktoberfest. And this was years ago. I went over there. I was dressed in my Bubba gear, to promote, since we're right next door. And one of the older members asked that I be removed because just my mere presence made people think of Bubba's and want to go next door to eat and would leave their festival. Which I think, as a marketer, how can you ask for a better compliment than that?
There isn't one. You
don't have to say anything. You just have to walk by someone and it makes them want to go eat.
That's huge. I mean, if you got the name recognition and you got the clientele that knows it, I mean, it's just seeing you is advertisement.
I think she overreacted. I don't think that's really the case. But hey, I'll take the compliment. And at first I'm like, what do you mean? You can't kick me out? And then I start to think about it and I'm like, thank you.
Right.
It's amazing. It really is, it shows all the effort that you've been putting in and it's paying back.
Yeah, that's awesome. Give the audience one of your biggest challenges and how you overcame it in your industry.
Well, I think in our industry, at least in Southwest Florida and even in Newport Richey, you probably saw it, is we're very seasonal. We have a huge seasonality. And it's one of those things that we have to adjust for on an annual basis. For example, our slowest month of the year is September. Our busiest month of the year is March. And our September is half of March. And then try to put those logistics together and think about staffing, think about purchasing and what's there. You just have to be able to adjust quickly and adjust on the fly. And I think that's what's important. And, we try not to overstaff. We want to take care of our customers, make sure they're happy. But at the same time, we need to take care of our employees. So in season, all of our employees know we're going to work hard. We're going to be tired at the end of the day. But what that means is that when we get to September and when we get to the summer months, we're not laying people off. They may
Gotcha.
have a shift or two less, but we're not laying people off telling them thanks, but no thanks. We all work through the good times together and we work through the bad. But we plan on that.
That works great for everybody. What I like to say is a win-win-win situation for everybody.
Absolutely. And summers are never fun down here. It's great to come visit, stay a week, but when you're down here full time and the population and snowbirds and in leisure travel, even business travel, is down, there's a lot of restaurants that handle season. And then when you get to summer, all of a sudden you got that same number of restaurants and half the people.
Right.
So, you really have to plan for it and be prepared for it. And that's how we got into catering. We started catering to try to fill the gaps in the summer.
That's a good idea.
Do
That's
a lot
a real
of
good
summer
idea.
events. We do a lot of charity events. We've worked with almost every major charity down here in Southwest Florida over the years. We look for things that we can do to fill holes that when we know we're going to be slow in the restaurant. So it's
good idea.
And it's also marketing. Because if I go feed 100 people, which we did last night, those 100 people are all going to ask, where are you from? And for those that haven't been to the restaurant, now they have a reason to come see us. For those that have been, it gives them a reason to come back more often. It's top of mind.
Do you get a lot of people, long-term customers from just, doing the feeding 100 people at an event or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. We had last night was a unique event. We were about 25 minutes away from the building. Out of that 100, I don't know that I've been stopped that often at an event recently with people say that's one of our favorite restaurants.
Nice.
And those that didn't know us, everyone, you don't have to tell anyone because the person next to them goes, "Oh, I can't believe you haven't been there."
Really?
And they'll start talking through. So that's always fun.
I think that 31 years helps out too.
A little bit.
A little bit. I think that's a huge understatement.
We've been around, although, sometimes if people ask if we're new, I say, we're just new to the area. The city's been in place for 50 years. We've only been here 31, so we got some catching up to do.
I think you're doing fine. Sounds like things are going pretty good for your business, and looking forward to the future. What do you do to create passive income, and any tips and tricks for that?
Oh, that's always a tough one. Yeah, one of the things
seems to be my hardest question. A lot of people stumble on this one.
Well, it is a tough one, but things that we do, and it's not necessarily all passive. But in addition to food, which you expect at a restaurant, we do a lot of retail. We try to get people to buy shirts. We do different designs of shirts. We sell some of our sauces. We sell a steak sauce. We sell some steak seasoning, hats, koozies, all those things that you pick up while you travel. But one of the best things that we found with that, and we haven't done it in a while, now talking to you, I might bring it back. We used to do a monthly contest with send a picture of you in your Bubba's shirt at the furthest location from the restaurant.
That's a good one.
So you end up with people wearing Bubba's shirts over in Europe, Asia, Australia, and we've gotten all those pictures back. And when we did it, that was back. It was all snail mail, so someone would actually put a picture in an envelope, mail it in. And it's got fun to see. We kept those up for a while, and people enjoy seeing where the Bubba shirts have gone and how they travel the world. And I think that also makes it top of mind. Is now we can say world famous because someone's been in Australia wearing our shirts, talking about our ribs.
My dad had a couple restaurants in Colorado, and we delivered to Fort Carson, Colorado, and a couple of the GIs would say, "Yeah, we were talking about Menino's Deli in England or Germany or something like that. Yeah, the best." I'm like, that is cool. That is a great idea. I'd highly suggest bringing that back.
So I think we will. One of the things, we used to have another restaurant called Bert's, which was in Naples-area, which is about a mile and a half. Actually, what is it? Probably 2 miles from Bubba's, and it was on the water in Naples-area that it got completely destroyed in Ian. But we had a huge picture up on the wall that was from the first Gulf War, where one of our regulars was working in, I think she was in the Air Force, and she had written on a bomb that said, "To Saddam, from the people at Bert's Bar. And we had a picture of that as she's sitting on it, signing it, and sending it off.
That is super cool.
Yeah, regardless.
With love from Bert's.
Right, exactly. I mean, how many places can say that happened?
Not too many.
That's one of the pictures I think I really missed. As the building got washed away.
Washed away. That takes a lot of water and a lot of force to move a building, because I've noticed, I'm a builder and flipper, and in Florida everything's generally made out of concrete, generally cinder blocks, and it's really kind of hard. It takes a lot to wash a building away.
Well, Ian was a powerful storm, Category 5, and it came in strong. The water level they guessed in the area where that building was 14 feet was the water rise. And the building was built back in the 40s. It was originally barracks for the weekend for the officers that trained at Buckingham Field. So they gave them a place to go on the weekends to relax as they were training to go to World War II. So that building has a lot of history, and all that's left are pilings that sat on the water.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Sorry you had to go through that. That sounds like that should have been the hardest thing that you went through.
Well, that's up there. I mean, that was
that has got to be tough.
That was
watching a building wash away.
I try not to think too much about it, but it was that you got to learn how to take those days and make them positives. And for us, regardless of where politics are, a lot of politicians always descend on those type of areas. We were the center of Ian. And we had a support all the way up to the governor's office here in Florida. Had an opportunity to walk Matt Lachey with him and with the CFO, who at the time was Jimmy Petronis. And those pictures go out. And again, as much as you hate to think about it, but looking back, as pictures go out and descriptions go out and stories go out about the damage, it's also putting in people's minds, hey, I need to go there. And we want to be there when they reopen. And we did an event for our employees probably 4 or 5 weeks after Ian hit, and in our parking lot, because Bubba's was closed 10 weeks during that time. Mm-hmm. And we had almost 400 people show up and raised over $50,000 that all went to our employees for both businesses to help them get through the troubled times that were ahead for all of us.
Wow, that's awesome. I haven't heard too many places that care about their employees that much. Congratulations.
We were lucky at Bubba's that we only had what I call minor damage, 10 weeks of damage, but compared to Bert's, which was the other restaurant that was completely gone, it's minor. So
I think perspective is key on that one. Being flood damaged, like I had a foot of water in my house, and I thought it was the worst thing in the world. I had neighbors that had 4 feet of water, and there's a big difference between 1 foot and 4 foot.
Well, I can tell you what 14 foot looks like.
Gone.
So,
wrapping up the interview now. What do you got planned, excited for the next 6 to 12 months? What's Bubba's going to be doing?
So we're headed into the heart of summer, which is our slowest time. It gives us time to prepare for season. We always do a little bit of training. We do a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of prep, getting ready for that time. Long term, it's a good question. I don't know if I have that answer yet. Behind us, and you can't really see in the picture because I've got it blurred, there's some trees back there that have been removed. We have a shopping center coming that's 131 acres that includes apartments, hotel, retail, and some more restaurants, but that's going to be built right next to us. We butt up to that property. So as that property gets going in construction, we're the type of place that we'll see the construction workers at the bar at the end of the day. Some of them probably come in for lunch and won't make it back in the afternoon. But
construction well.
Oh, absolutely. There's places and builders that I would have them only build in the morning because I see what they do for lunch.
Right. Yeah. I used to work around those people. Never worked with those people.
So I think we're preparing that as that happens, we'll have some major growth in our area. When we opened up in this location 26 years ago, in a 5-mile radius, there were 10 restaurants. Now in that same radius, it's over 50.
Nice.
So it's a huge growth. It's one of the largest and fastest growing areas in Cape Coral and Southwest Florida. We have that shopping area with the 131 acres coming behind us. There is a full-size supercenter Walmart going across the street from that. That we think between those two projects that it's going to start driving a lot of more traffic our way.
And then your season will be a larger season, especially if they're maybe building the entire time.
Correct. And the thing that we always like to see, and we got lucky, and I hate to say lucky during COVID, but being the free state of Florida, a lot of people came down here and stayed as opposed to going up to places up north. And from 20 to really 23, including after Ian, our summer went up and was at a much higher level than what's normal down here. People that stayed year round, construction crews and cleanup crews that came down for Ian that stayed year round. The cleanup's still going on, but not to the extent that it was at the time. And as that happens and more people move down and our summers start to rise, and I think that's what's going to happen as that building and that structure goes behind us with the shopping and the super Walmart. That's going to drive more people down here and kind of bring summer back up. So the dip isn't so much. I'd love to get rid of that 50% dip from the highest to the lowest.
Well, if you got an apartment complex going behind you, you got a couple hundred new tenants that are walking distance to your property.
Absolutely. And, we're looking forward to that. And I think even more excited about a hotel. All of a sudden you got 120 rooms. So a couple hundred people a night on a full night for them that are looking for dinner, that don't know the area, that don't necessarily have a car. They're not going to go 5-10 miles away. They're going to walk from the hotel to us as we're right next to it in their plans. So that's awesome. That's exciting for us. And hopefully it's opportunity for catering, depending on what kind of brand it is. If a mid-sized brand that doesn't have their own food and beverage team for catered events, all of a sudden we have access to their meeting rooms. And we can use that and feed people there. Everyone's got to eat.
Everybody's got to eat. That's the beauty of your business. Everybody's got to eat. Hey, listen, Jay, thank you so much for sharing your time and strategic positioning of your businesses and your insights. If people want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Best way to reach me is I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me at LinkedIn at Jay Johnson. I think it's LinkedIn/Bubba's Roadhouse, actually, but you can also get a hold of us at Bubba's 239-282-5520 or at bubbasroadhouse@gmail.com.
Awesome. Hey, listen, thanks again for the insights and good luck on your new ventures coming out with your catering, and that building coming behind you is awesome. Did you find that out through being in the Chamber of Commerce?
Actually, that one I found out the people that were buying it came in to eat. We're used as a hub for a lot of things, and we find out a lot of information just from people coming to eat. Like that Walmart I was talking about, they have some homeowners behind them that have concerns about a Walmart coming close to them. Well, they came and met with the Walmart people in the room next to my office, and they sat there for 2 hours, just question and answers. What's this mean to us? The people next to us came in to eat, actually love our restaurant. At one point, they wanted to buy and bulldoze, and then once they ate, they want us to stay. And
nice.
And they come every time that they're in town. The ownership group, we see them for dinner or lunch, and they tell us what's going on, give us plans, share the book, share everything. So nice. Hopefully, it's a good partnership that we were able to start.
Awesome. All right, listen, thanks again. Thanks again for being here, and we'll let everybody else go. Thank you for your time. And if anybody wants to contact him, Jay really kind of knows his business and catering. That's awesome. Thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you for having me. I really enjoy it.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.